We're going to get ready for our tribe talk. How many of you guys love the tribe talks that we've been doing? Yeah? So I'm going to invite John up. If you don't know John and Molly, and also Javier and Jasmine are fairly new to the church. They've been here for about 6 months, but John has just stepped up in about a million ways. And so we want to let him do a tribe talk this morning because he brings a lot of wisdom. And if you haven't had an opportunity to get to know this guy, I would encourage you, grab him after service. I'm sure we're going to cut him off. Right, Curtis? Right, Curtis? So get ready. Are you ready for 3 minutes?
Yes.
3, not 30?
3. I thought
not 13?
You added the 0 at the end.
No, I didn't do that. Okay. John's going to speak this morning, just in general. All right, go for it.
All right, so as I read the devotions this week, the one story that spoke to me the most was about the ruler whose daughter was dying. This man approached Jesus in a desperate last attempt to save his little girl, right? He anxiously leads Jesus to his home, and along the way, Jesus decides to suddenly stop. You know, the clock is ticking. He's asking about who touched his cloak. There's people surrounding him. Many people are touching his cloak. So I feel like Jairus, he's frustrated with Jesus fidgeting, wanting to continue the journey to his dying daughter. True faith, I felt, was always springing out of a place of desperation. This man leads Jesus. I believe in you, Jesus. Here's where I'm going. Let me lead you through the plans and objectives that I have, and just help me on my way where I'm going. And then when you're on your way with Jesus, he suddenly stops, right? And you have to wait. And in this moment, our hearts sink because whether it truly is or isn't, it feels like death is on the line. While stopped, Jairus finds out that his daughter actually is now dead, and he has nothing to say, and Jesus comes up to him and says, don't be afraid, just believe. Now, instead of Jesus following Jairus, it's the other way around, and Jairus must decide that Jesus might still have some kind of hope to give him. So in faith, he decides with the last bit of faith he has to follow. So Jesus gets to the house, wakes up the little girl from her death, healthy and happy, and Jairus' faith is now seen as fruit. Okay. This is the kind of faith that I want, the Jairus kind of faith. It's deep, but I know the journey towards deep faith is unforgivably tough at times. Jairus is desperate for Jesus to heal. And yet the Lord, even in this, squeezes out the last bit of faith that he has along the way. His daughter dies. How much hopeless, how much more faithless a situation is that? And I felt like having faith like this and asking the Lord for help does not mean that we won't experience death. Certainly Jairus would agree. But trusting in the Lord means that though the Lord may lead you into the grave, you won't do it alone. And when you sit, even in the pit of death, God does something that only he can do. He brings resurrection like he did for this little girl. Only God can raise the dead. And it might not be the way that we think or in the time that we want or the plan that we had. And when we have resurrection, it doesn't nullify the pain of death, but the gift and the experience of resurrection can only come through first experiencing the grave. And in those moments, all we can do is cling to Jesus. Jesus, mind you, the only one who experienced this same death, not calling us to any other kind of situation of faith he has not done for us, and then calls us into it.
Okay, I see you, John. Wow. That's awesome. What a great reminder, right? That real faith really takes trusting him no matter what the outcome is, right? Not just our outcomes, our agendas we set for Jesus if he's proceeding fast enough or going far enough for us, but really learning to walk in step with him, right? That's a pretty amazing thing. I love that because we see Jesus do that over and over and over again in the scriptures as we've been studying. If you've been going through the book of Matthew with us, or indeed as we've been seeing in our I Am series in the book of John, wherever we see Jesus, he's confronting what people expect, isn't he? He's looking at our expectations and saying, I know you expect me to be like this, but if I'm like this, are you still going to trust me? Are you going to have faith? Or are you going to take back control? So I think it's a huge and important message for our lives. Thank you so much, John. Can we give him another round of applause?